Hello everyone, this is Aya from Hinawi software. So as you can see here, I have the HRMS roadmap in front of me opened, and basically those are the different tabs which we have here. Of course, there are several videos about it on our YouTube channel. In each video, I cover a specific part. So in this video, mainly our main concern, our main topic for today is to focus on how the salary calculation policy is applied on Hinawi software, along with the absence calculation and the leave calculation as well. So we will see the salary calculation policy and the leave and the absence. Basically, we will first talk about it theoretically in a table where all the concepts will be clear and straightforward. And then afterwards, we are going to move to a practical example, actually more than one example, because I want it to be very, very clear. And I'll show you some screenshots right here at the right side. You will see some screenshots from Hinawi software ERP desktop application itself in order to understand how it's used and applied on the software and system in general. Let's first start with the salary calculation policy. First of all, this is the table right here. We have some rows and columns. We will see what each one stands for and the meaning behind it. So first of all, regarding the employee salary, the absence amount, absence days, leave amount, and leave days, we will see how each one is applied, or what is it based on from these columns right here. So basically, we have the fixed 30 days, we have actual month days, 360 days, and 365 days. We will see whether each one of these items right here, we will see whether they apply to those column titles right here or not. So regarding the first one, the employee salary, as you can see here, it can be applied and based on the fixed 30 days. Also, it can be specified and based according to the actual month days. However, 360 days is not applicable for the employee salary, and the 365 days as well is not applicable for the employee salary. Now, what does this mean? The fixed 30 days, it means that whether we are talking about January, February, March, whatever month in the year, it will always be considered as exactly 30 days. Whether the month contains 28 days, 30, 31 days, it doesn't matter, because it's always considered as 30 days fixed. So if some company policies depend on that method, you can as well set that the employee salary will be based on those fixed 30 days in the year. Now, what the actual month days means, actually, it's the opposite of this first column. It means that each month is different than the other. February contains different days than, let's say, March, May, April. Each month it might contain different number of days, and so the salary can be based on that. So the salary can be based on different calculation based on different months in the year. Now, regarding the absence amount, it exactly follows the employee salary. So as you can see here, those two rows are exactly the same. So the absence amount can depend on fixed 30 days. So if we choose that the employee salary is this, we can also choose this one will follow and will be considered as fixed 30 days as well from the salary. Same thing applies to the actual month days. However, notice here that the absence days, this one is not based on fixed 30 days. So like as days, not as amount, as days itself, they will be considered based on the actual month days. So basically, the amount here will be considered as both fixed 30 days and actual month days, but in the days, when we're only talking about days, it will be considered as actual month days. We will see exactly how many days exactly did the employee take absence. 360 days and 365 days are not applicable to that. Notice here in the leave amount, however, everything is applied, and it can be based on anything here in the table. So basically, in the leave amount, you can set it based on fixed 30 days, based on actual month days. 360 days can sometimes be used among different companies, and 365 days as well. However, in the leave days, as you can see here, just like the absence amount, it can be based on the fixed 30 days, the actual month days. However, 360 and 365 days are not applicable. So the only one which applies to all of them is the leave amount, and those first two along with the last one can be based according to the same thing. So this can be based according to this employee's salary, and in the absence days, it will read exactly how many days, actual days, did the employee take an absence. So this is very, very important. It's like the first step or scenario which we should keep in mind before proceeding forwards with the examples. So let's now go to the following examples. Those are the given information. Let's pretend, or let's say an employee has his or her salary set as 3,000, and then let's see how their leaves and absences are going to be calculated based on the full salary, which is the 3,000. We will see how pension also is affecting it. So in the normal case, like in the standard case where there are no absences at all or no leaves at all, so basically when an employee has went to his or her job for the full month, he or she was present for the full month, no absences, no leaves at all were taken. So whether we're talking about fixed 30 days or actual month days, in both cases, the net amount will be the same. However, why is it 2,850 if we said that the amount is 3,000? Let's see here how it was calculated. So in January, which is 31 days, and February, which is 28 days, April, which is 30 days, as we can see here, each one of those contains different number of days. However, when we're talking about fixed 30 days, it means that whatever the number of days were, they're all considered as 30 days exactly. So that's why the salary calculation here is the month salary, which is 3,000. It says here that the amount is 3,000 for non-locals, and for locals it's this way. So what is the difference? Why is it 3,000 here and why is it 2,850? As I said a few minutes ago, it's because here the non-locals, they have no pension. Like there is no column here for pension for non-locals. So therefore, the amount will be exactly 3,000 for all months equally. Since they went for 31 days or 28 days, in both cases, since they went for the full month, they will take the 3,000 completely. So this is how it's calculated. But in the local here, local area or the local column, as we see here, the salary is 2,850 because that 3,000 right here minus the employee pension, which is 5%. 5% from 3,000 is 150, and 3,000 minus 150 is 2,850. Now, some of you might be wondering, why didn't we also deduct the company pension, which is the 300, which is the 10% right here? Well, it has a different calculation from another area or another place, which we will be covering later, but what we want here, our main focus and concern, is the employee pension, which will be minused from the total salary, which is 3,000, which gives us 2,850 for all months equally, since we're talking about fixed 30 days. Now, when we're talking about actual month days, as you can see here, so January will have 31 days, February 28, 30. Now, you might be wondering here or saying that Since we're talking about actual month days, why are they still calculated the same? Why are they still calculated the same, even if we have set up or put that it's actual month days and that each month is calculated differently? Well, the main reason behind that is no absence and no leaves were even created in the first place. So you have to keep that in mind. Once there are any leaves or absences created, then in this case, it will be affecting the salary based on actual month days differently in each month. But since we're talking about no absences and no leaves at all, they would also be considered 3,000 for the non-locals, and for the locals, same exact calculation, which is 3,000 minus 150, which gives us 2,850 for all of them. So, as we can see here in this example, we saw that in this specific example and in this specific scenario, we saw that whether we're talking about fixed 30 days or actual month days, that will not affect the salary since no absences and leaves were created. This is the simplest case. It's the simplest scenario right here. And we will see now how are the other scenarios and the other cases calculated. By the way, this note right here is very important. It says that this is not deducted from the employee's salary. So this is showing us how it's calculated based on the amount and the pension. So this is only the pension we're talking about. That's why the net amount is this way, because we're talking about pension. But in normal cases, when there are no pension, this is the amount. It's exactly 3,000 with no deduction. Now let's see a little bit harder example. It's not hard, but it's just a little bit more like it needs focus more than the first simple scenario which we talked about, because now it will start being different among fixed 30 days and actual month days. So based on this scenario, as we can see here, there was one absence day, like only one day of absence was there for the same salary. Let's see how this affects the two different methods of fixed 30 days and actual month days. So as we can see here, notice that when we're talking about absence for one day regarding fixed 30 days, so here, whether we're talking about January, February, April, which all have different number of days, this is 31, 28, and 30, this is how the salary calculation is. Basically, what we care about here is to calculate the salary. So how is it calculated? Basically, the total salary is calculated first. So we put the total salary, which is 3,000, minus, between parentheses, we have to put the total salary. Again, so this one is repeated here, divided by 30. Where did this 30 come from? It came from here because it's fixed 30 days. So we're not looking at the 31, 28, and 30 right here as if they're not there. All we're looking at is the fixed 30 days here. So that's why it's divided by 30 and then multiplied by the absence days, which is in all cases 1. As you can see here, 1 day of absence. So notice here it's literally the same thing for all three rows. 3,000 minus 3,000 divided by 30 multiplied by 1, which is 2,900 for all of them, for all three different months. When we're talking about pension, however, notice here that if the employee's pension is 5%, what we're talking about here is that this 2,900 will be minus 150, which gives us 2,750 for all three of them. So that's how it's calculated. Let's see here, when we're talking about also 1 day of absence, but this time regarding the actual days, how is this calculated? So for January, there are 31 days. For February, there are 28, and for April, there are 30. So the exact same way of calculation, but this time we do not put the 30 days here. This time we put the actual month days. So in the first scenario, we have right here 3,000, which is the total salary, minus again 3,000 between parentheses, which is the total salary here, divided by 31. Why did we put the 31 here? Because it's reading from here, and then multiplied by 1, because there was only 1 day of absence, which gives us 2,903.22. Now, in the following case or scenario, we have 3,000 minus, between parentheses, 3,000 divided by 28. Where did this 28 come from? Basically from here, and then multiplied by 1. And in the last case, which is for April, we have 3,000 minus 3,000 divided by 30, which came from here, multiplied by 1, because there is 1 day of absence, which gives us this. If we want to consider pension, which is minus 150, it will give us the following answer and the following net amount. Before I proceed forwards with the next scenario, I want to just show you a quick example practically on Hinawi software based on a screenshot. So in the normal case here, as we can see in the salary sheet where there were no absences and no leaves at all, as you can see here in the days, there are 30 days. This is the basic salary, which is 3,000. This is the subtotal, no loans. The working days were also 30. So the net to pay is also 3,000. So as we saw here, there was no deduction from employee salary. This is only the net amount we're talking about here. And in this scenario, we have seen the net to pay is 3,000 because there are no leaves, no absences. So whether actual days or fixed 30 days, it doesn't affect the total. It would always be 3,000. That was regarding the first example which we talked about. In the second example, which we have seen here, when there are 1 day of absence, this is the way it was calculated for fixed 30 days. Basically, for fixed 30 days, as we can see here, the working days were 29 days because there was 1 day of absence, which gives us the 2,900. So that's how it's calculated when there is 1 day of absence based on fixed 30 days, as we have seen here in this example, which gave us 22,900 based on the calculation I have shown you. So basically that's how it was calculated. Now let's see here when there are 5 days of absence. So when there are 5 days of absence, this one gets a little bit more complicated, so it needs a lot of focus because it's calculated very, very differently based on fixed 30 days or actual month days, especially when we're talking about an absence which came between 2 months. So it might, some of those days of the absence might be at the end or the last of the previous month and the last few days at the beginning of the next month. So that's when the main question comes, when it's in 2 separate months. So basically, let's say, for example, there was the method which was selected was based on fixed 30 days, and then later on in the next month or like months later, the policy again changed to actual days. So in this case, how is it going to be calculated? Which method or which policy is it going to follow? Basically on the effective month of the salary sheet. So this is the note which we have here. It's a very, very important note. It says that the absence salary will be deducted from the effective month. Where is the effective month? It's right here. This is the effective month and year while creating an absence. So in the absence form itself, when creating an absence, you will select the effective month, which will read the policy of that effective month. So if an employee was absent, let's say from the 29th of January to the 2nd of February, this means that while creating the absence, if the effective month is selected as February, then the absence salary will be deducted from the February monthly salary. So also this will affect or tell us which month will the amount be deducted, so the absence amount. Which month is it going to be deducted from? Also, which policy is it going to read from based on the effective date of that? Okay, let's see the screenshot right here based on this scenario, but let's first cover it so it will be easier for you to understand. So here, the example says that, of course, based on the given information already that the salary is 3,000, it says here that in the absence, let's say 5 days were taken off as absence, starting from the 27th of the month. And we're talking about fixed 30 days. So in the month of January, which we have 31 days, this is how the salary calculation is. So basically, what the calculation says, it says that the salary is calculated based on the total salary minus, between parentheses, total salary divided by 30 multiplied by the absence days. Notice here that 30 is applied to all months since we're talking about fixed 30 days. So whatever we have here, whatever we have, whether 31, 28, 30 days, they're all here calculated as 30. And where do we get the absence days from? Basically from here, from the given information that there were 5 days of absence. So our main concern basically in this case is that there were 5 days of absence. So we're talking about 27th of February. Notice here that in order to remove any confusion you might have, that even if February contains 28 days, so February contains 28 days, but since we're talking about a fixed 30 days, since we're saying that there are fixed 30 days, so in this case, it will still be considered as 5 days of absence, and the system will automatically calculate the amount and the total salary without even caring or without even mentioning for you or having to keep in mind any other month which is still coming. Like, we were not talking about following months, we're mainly focusing on the current month, on this month. So therefore, notice here in the calculation, when we applied the salary calculation, when we have inserted the numbers right here, all we're caring about is that there are 5 days of absence. So we're not talking about any other month. We're not talking about any other days which will still be calculated for next month. That is for the system, which will be calculating it automatically. But our main focus is that there are 3,000 here in the total salary, minus the 3,000 between parentheses, divided by 30 since it's fixed, multiplied by 5 for all of them. So 31 days, 28 days, 30 days, doesn't matter. Since we want 5 days of absence, the system will automatically calculate it as the following, which will give us the same amount for all, which is 2,500 for all of them. Now, if we're talking about pension, which is the 5%, 150 right here, if we're talking about pension, the net amount will be this amount right here, you see here on the screen, minus the 150, which will give us also the same amount for all. So in case the company policy wants or depends on the fixed 30 days, in this case, whatever month the employee wants to take an absence on, it will all be calculated the same. So as you can see here, sometimes the employee might benefit from this feature, might benefit from the feature that it's all considered the same since it's fixed 30 days. So it can be considered as an advantage for the employee, you might say, of course, based on the company policy. So this is how it's calculated. Let's now see here the screenshot, which will be showing us practically how the fixed 30 days is applied on Hinawi software, and then we will move further with how the absence is calculated based on actual month days. It needs like focus. It needs a lot of focus because it's different for each month. In the absence for fixed 30 days, as we can see here, when we put 27th of January to 31st of January, notice here it automatically calculated the number of days, which is 5 days, as we said, and it automatically also deducted 5 days and 40 hours based on the setup of how many hours per day, so 8 hours per day, depending on the company policy, and also it automatically calculated the amount. Notice here the leave days were 0 because the deduction type we have selected is to deduct from the salary, so there would be 400 deducted from the salary. So always keep in mind that this will be deducting based on fixed 30 days. This is image B, and also we have image C right here. So this will show us how it's calculated. Let's now see the actual days. Let's see when we take 5 days of absence regarding the actual days, how it's calculated. Basically, for January, when there are 31 days, notice here that how is it calculated? Basically, it says here that the total salary minus, between parentheses, total salary divided by the actual month days, not 30 as the one above, now actual month days, multiplied by the absence days, which is also reading based on actual days. So here in the first scenario, which is for January, there are 3,000 for the total salary, minus, between parentheses, 3,000 again, divided by 31. This is reading from here, and multiplied by 5. So for January, it did not affect a lot because it's basically the same as the one above it. The only difference is that this is 30 and this is 31. There wasn't much difference. We will see this in the image in a few minutes. But for February, notice here that 3,000 minus, between parentheses, 3,000 divided by 28 from here, and then multiplied by 2. Now, why is it multiplied by 2? Basically, what we're saying here is that since the absence started from 27th, and we're talking about 28 right here, so there are 2 days, 27 and 28, plus, again, why are we repeating this calculation here as a second part? Because we are calculating what's left from these days in the next month. So now we're talking about February here. Then the other months which are left will go for March. That's why it's plus 3,000 divided by 31. Why is it 31, not 28? Because it's reading from the total number of days in March, and then multiplied by 3 because that's what's left from the days to be 5 days, to be 5 days of absence. So those are the 2 days right here, and those are 3 days. 2 plus 3 are 5 days of absence. So 28 is reading from February again, 31 is reading from March, 3,000 is the total salary, 22 right here, 2 is the days for till the month of February is done or over, and 3 days here is what's left from that month to the next month. So basically that is how it's calculated, which gives us, of course, the total salary or the total amount. Now let's look here at April. So in April, there are 3,000 in the total salary, minus 3,000, again, total salary, divided by 30 from here, we got it from here, multiplied by 4, because why is it 4 this time, not 2? Because we're talking about an absence which started on 27th. So from 27 till 30, there are 4 days, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So this is how, and this is why it's 4 right here. What's left is 1 day for the next month. That's why we add another part for the same calculation exactly, but this time 3,000 divided by 31. Why is that? Because it's reading not the total number of days in April, it's reading the total number of days in May. So basically, 3,000 right here minus 3,000 divided by 30 days of April multiplied by 4, and then plus 3,000 again divided by 31 days because it's the next month, May, multiplied by 1 because that's what's left till the total number of absences to be 5. Notice here that in the first one, when it was 31, it instantly covered the 5 days without having the need to add another part. So 3,000 minus 3,000 divided by 31 multiplied by 5 automatically without adding another part, because from 27 till 31 there are 5. 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. So 5 days without having the need to add another part, like the 2 examples below. Of course, if we want to minus 150 for the pension, we will have the following amounts. This is how it's calculated based on an actual screenshot right here. This is the absence for the actual days. Notice here from 27th of January till the 31st, it automatically calculated as 5, the number of days. And here the amount is 484, automatically also calculated, because if we follow the same calculation right here, we will have this amount. Same thing comes for absence in image B, which shows us that, look at the difference right here between image A and image B. All that was because the months were different. So here, notice in January, notice here it's in February. So here, the last image, it's in April. Again, it's different. So it's always different based on the month now, since it's actual month days, not fixed 30 days. So that's how it's calculated. Now let's move further here. Let's see this note. When there is an absence between 2 months, this will deduct the absence day's salary from the effective month, as we have seen, and it's applicable, of course, for the HR employees. Timesheet can create their absences from the timesheet form itself, which will deduct the absence day's salary from the same month where the absence is created. Let me make this a little bit more clear. Basically, when an employee has his or her type or like form selected as timesheet, not HR employee, in this case, you will not go through this form of absence and create an absence for that timesheet employee. You will rather create their absence from the timesheet form itself. And how is it going to understand or realize the month which must have the amount deducted from? Basically from the day itself which had the absence taken. So the timesheet form will have or will be reading the effective date or day based on the exact day of absence which was taken, or days. So that's another example. That's all regarding the absence, whether we're talking about a screenshot right here or whether we're talking about the actual table which we have seen here, whether we're talking about 5 days of absence or 1 day of absence or no absence at all, after we have covered exactly the salary calculation from the table we have seen here, and which is also applied this way from Hinawi software. This is the payroll settings on Hinawi software. This is how it looks like. This is where I said that you choose the working hours completely from here, and this is where you choose the salary calculation, whether actual month days or fixed 30 days. We have covered this and the difference between them. So again, to assure your idea is clear, in the actual month days, in this basis, the system will calculate the number of days in the month. So whether we're January, February, April, each one is different than the other. But in the fixed 30 days, all are considered the same regardless of the month. And in the leave settings also, as we have seen here, this will allow you to choose whether the leave settings will apply exactly based on the payroll policy. So you can choose for the leave settings to be exactly reading based on payroll settings. If we choose here actual month days, we can set here that the leave settings will read based on that actual month days. And if we select fixed 30 days for payroll, we can also select that the leave settings will be reading based on the payroll settings, which is fixed 30 days. So this is how it's supposed to be reading. Also, if you choose 360 or 365, that is also applicable. So you're not obligable, or you're not, it's not mandatory for you to choose payroll policy. You can choose 360 or 365 as well. Let's see the notes right here before we proceed forwards with it. It says here that the leave salary calculation is enabled only if the salary calculation is actual month days. So when the salary calculation is fixed 30 days, this option will actually be disabled. And if the end of service is created for an employee, whether we're talking about resigning or for termination, the remaining of the leave salary and any unpaid salary will show in the end of service form. So this doesn't mean that the leave salary will be gone or any unpaid salary will be gone when an employee resigns or terminates or gets terminated. It will all show in the end of service form. End of service will be reading everything left regarding the leaves and any unpaid salary. So this is very important, and it's automatically calculated from the system. It helps you a lot. Also, let's see here an example of how to calculate an actual days if the salary calculation is fixed 30 days. So if this option is checked and an employee takes a leave for 5 days, let's say starting from February 27th, then the leave days will be 5 days, which are 27, 28, 1, 2, and 3. This is regarding the actual days. However, if it's not checked, the leave days will be calculated based on 7 days, which are 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, and 3. So this is the difference among these two. In the note right here, the absence salary will be deducted from the effective month, of course, as we said, given while reading an absence. So if an employee was absent from 29th of January till 2nd of February, so in this case, when you create an absence, the effective month, if we have selected it as February, then the absence day salary will be deducted from the February monthly salary. What this means is that when you create a salary sheet for February, since it's set as the effective date, this is where you'll find the amount deducted from that month. And also, last point is that when calculating of leave days, of course, for all types of leaves, it's always based on the actual month days. So this is how calculation of the leave days is, whether we're talking about any type of leave. So it's always based on actual month days. We have seen that practically based on the table or the schedule we have covered and seen here. Now let's talk about the leave. So we have covered the salary calculation policy, we have covered the absence, whether we're talking about 1 day of absence or 5 days of absences, and now we will cover the leave. So as we can see here, it says that we will see the leave based on 1 day of leave. So just like an absence, which we took firstly, which is the 1 day of absence, now we will take the 1 day of leave. We will see the difference among 30 days, 30 fixed days or actual days, how it affects the salary and how it affects the amount. So this is very, very important. Before I get into this, let's make this clear, an important point. First of all, in the absence calculation, it mainly focused on the absence amount. So that was the main concern, the absence amount. However, for leaves, it focuses not only on the leave amount, but also the salary. So there are two parts we will see here, part A and part B of the calculation. It's a little bit more advanced and a little bit more in depth than the absence regarding how it's calculated. So here, as we can see here, when there's 1 day of leave, regarding fixed 30 days, whether we're talking about January, February, or April, so whether we're having 31 days, whether we're having 28 days, or whether we're having 30 days, in the salary calculation, the way it's calculated is that the leave salary will be added to the working days of the salary. So part A and part B will be added. So part A here means that the leave salary, and part B means here, part B means the working days salary. So first of all, in the leave salary, we take the leave days, divide it by 30 for all of them, because it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by the total salary, which in this case is 3,000. However, for the working days to be calculated, we take the working days divided by 30, since it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by 3,000. Add A and B together to get the total salary. Let's apply this to January of fixed 30 days. So part A here is the leave days, which is 1 day of leave, divided by 30 because it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by 3,000 because we're talking about a total salary of 3,000. This is part A. Now what is part B? It's 29 because the working days, the actual, like let's say 1 day of leave was taken, so how many days are left? 29 days. Whether we're talking about 31 days, 28, or 30, in all cases, it's considered as if an employee was working for 30 days. So when 1 day is removed from those 30 days, it will be resulting as 29 days. That's what working days means. So working days here means 30 minus the 1 day of leave, which will give us 29 for all of them, divided by 30 again, because it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by the total salary, which is 3,000. Now, adding those parts together will give us 3,000. And if we want to minus the pension, if we want to minus the employee pension, it will be giving us 2,850, of course, for all 3 different months, January, February, and April, since we're talking about fixed 30 days. Let's see now practically as a screenshot how this is calculated. Let's go a little bit down further here. This is image number 1. As you can see here, there were 5 days, let's say, right here in the salary sheet, when there is 1 day of leave for fixed 30 days, as we see here, there were 29 days available as working days. So basically, this is how the leave is calculated when there are 29 days and 1 day is taken. So the net to pay is 3,000, and the subtotal here is 2,900. So that's the amount which will be paid since it's 29 days. So that's how it's calculated. Now let's see here. Let's see when there is a leave taken, when there's 1 day of leave taken for an actual month days. So in this case, it will also be a little bit more complicated than the fixed 30 days, since now we're talking about each month differently. So they will not all be considered the same number of days. Each one is different. And before I get into the calculation, notice here this note says that the days will be deducted from the leave balance days. So that's how it will be calculated and deducted from. The days will be deducted from the balance, and the amount is deducted from here. 2 main parts. In January, which contains 31 days, the salary will be calculated based on leave salary, plus the working days salary, which is part A and part B. Part A is calculated the following. It says that the leave days, which is 1, divided by the actual month days, which is in this case 31 because it's reading from here, and then multiplied by the total salary, which is 3,000, of course. Part B, however, it says that the working days salary here is 3,000. So basically this is the working days salary. This is how it's calculated. It says here that 330 divided by 31, because how many actual days were considered as working days, reading from those 31 days, basically it's 30 days, divided by the total number of days in the month, which is 31 days, and then multiplied by the total salary. So actually part B is exactly like part B here, but the difference is that it's not 30 anymore. It's the actual month days minus the number of leaves, which is in this case 31 minus 1, which is 30. That's why here it's 30. And then this is part A and this is part B. We add them together to get the salary for the employee of this month. So if we want to also consider pension, so this minus 150 gives us this. This is regarding January of actual days. Now regarding February, notice here 1, because here, why is it reading 1? Because it says here that the leave days, which is 1 day, divided by the actual month days for February, which is 28, multiplied the total salary, which is 3,000. This is part A. Part B is 27, because the total number of days of the month is 28 minus 1 day of leave, which gives us 27, divided by the total number of days of February, which is 28, multiplied by the salary, which is 3,000, which also gives us 3,000 right here. If we minus the 150 pension, it will give us this. Same thing is used for April. So for April, also we use the same method, which also gives us 3,000, and after pension 2,850. So notice here how in the leave, 1 day of leave regarding the actual days, it actually was the same amount for all of them. It resulted exactly the same. So this is very, very important. We will see here how the leave based, if it was, for example, let's say 5 days of leave, how it's calculated. We will see this in the table, and then we will apply this as an image, like we will see the screenshot of it. So here, let's say that there were 5 days of leaves starting from the 27th of the month based on fixed 30 days. So here, if we're talking about January, which has 31 days, we will not take this into consideration. 31 will not be taken into consideration. We will take the 30 days instead, and we will follow the same salary calculation method. So, but this time it's different because it comes into 2 months. It's as if that the leave is split into January and February, not only January, as the example we have seen above. So here, the leave days to be deducted from the leave days, from his leave days balance, is 5 days. Since 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. So there are 5 days to be deducted from the balance. And here it says that the leave days to be paid is 4 because it will stop on 30. So part A is 4 divided by 30 multiplied by 3,000, and 26 divided by 30 multiplied 3,000. Why is this 26 here? Because it's the working days, the actual, the working days minus the 5 days of leave. So basically, here it says that 26, starting, because the leave has started from 27th and there were 5 days. So that's why here it's 26. And then divided by 30, multiplied by 3,000, it gives us 3,000. So where did this 4 come from? Again, let's repeat this part. Where did this 4 come from? Basically, because it says here that in the first part, the leave days are 4, based on the fixed 30 days, and 5 days of leave will be taken as an absence, balance, days of balance, which is 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. There are 5 days, but since we're talking about fixed 30 days, so here it's 4. That's why the leave days will be paid are 4, since it will stop at 30. That's the main difference between the fixed 30 days and the actual month days. So if this was actual month days and it was 31 here, it will not be considered as 4 days will be paid. It will be considered as 5 days will be paid. But in this case, it will be considered as only 4 days will be paid, even if there were 5 days of absence taken, since it will stop at 30 and 31 will not be taken into consideration since it's fixed 30 days. That's why 4 right here, because it's what will be paid based on the fixed 30 days, which are 27, 28, 29, and 30. That's it, without 31. And 5 days of balance will be deducted and multiplied, of course, by the total salary, which is 3,000, plus part B, which is 26, divided by 30. As we said, 26 is the working days, the actual working days which the employee has worked, and then divided by 30, because it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by the salary, which gives us 3,000. If we want to take the employee pension into consideration, 3,000 minus 150 is 2,850. So that is how the first scenario and the first case is applied, basically. Let's see here in February, which contains 28 days. Leave days to be deducted from the leave balance is 5 days, since they are 27, 28, 1, 2, and 3 of March. And notice here, and leave days to be paid is 27 plus 28 plus 29 plus 30 plus 1, 2, and 3 in March. So that's why here in part A, the leave days are 4. And then divided by 30, since it's fixed 30 days, multiplied by the salary, which is 3,000, plus 3 from March. This one is supposed to be May. Or actually, let's say here in the January, let's go first here, the January. As we see, it's actually considered without taking any days of the next month, so it's correct. But here in February, we considered March. Yes, this is correct. This is March, because we considered the first 3 days of March, since January was already calculated, February was calculated, and then March was calculated as 3 days from it. So that's why we here add plus 3 divided by 30 multiplied by 3,000, and then plus part B, which is the working days divided by 30 multiplied by 3,000, which is 26 divided by 30 multiplied 3,000. We will see this as a screenshot in order to be more clear, but let me repeat this again, that what's left from the days of February will be calculated for the days of March. And lastly, here, we are saying that in April, which contains 30 days and is calculated based on fixed 30 days, this is how it's calculated. So the leave days to be deducted is 5 days, since it's 27, 28, 29, 30, and only 1 day of May. And the leave days to be paid is 5. So basically 27, 28, 29, 30, and 1 day of May. That's why here it says 4, because the leave days are 4 of this month, divided by 30, multiplied by the salary, which is 3,000, plus, why are we adding another part here? Because this one comes from May. So this is what's left from April. It goes to May. So that's why plus 1 divided by 30, which is this, right here, and then multiplied by 3,000, which is the salary. And then here, as we can see here, this is the total, which is 3,100. We will see this now as a screenshot in order to be more clear. And then we will move to the actual month days of the 5 days of leave. So as we can see here, this is calculated based on fixed 30 days from here. And if we're talking about January, notice here that there are 5 days of leave, and the days to be paid only are 4, not 5, since we have seen here why it was considered as 4, not 5, because it will stop at 30. So if we're stopping January at 30, since it's fixed 30 days, so that last day of January will not be paid. It will only be paid for 5 days. So this is how it's calculated accurately. This is how it's calculated. If we're talking about January, if we're talking about February now, notice here that the days of the leave are 5 days and calculated are 5, but there will be 7 days to be paid. And we have seen why there are 7 days to be paid for February. Let's go here again and see. It will be paid as 7 days because it's considered as 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 2, and 3. So 7 days. That's why here it says that it's 7 days. And that's how it's calculated. Let's go here and see now image 3, which is for April. Now in April, it's calculated as 5 days, and the days to be paid are also 5 days. Now, wondering why is this happening? Basically for April, because it's fixed 30 days, and April itself actually has fixed 30 days. So it's exactly the same. It's 27, 28, 29, 30, and 1 day of May. So if we add these all together, if you add 27, 28, 29, 30, and the 1st of May, it will be resulting as 5. So that's why here the days to be paid are 5, and the calculated leave days are also 5, since it's fixed 30 days. So this is how it's calculated. Let's finally see the exact same scenario, but this time for actual month days, not for fixed 30 days. So if we're talking about actual month days for leave, this is how it's calculated. The exact same calculation policy, but this time it's not 30. This time it's reading from the month. So here for January, when there are 5 days of leave starting from 27, it says here that the leave days to be deducted from the days balance is 5, since they are 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Notice here it's this way, and the leave days to be paid are 5, not 4 this time, because it's reading actually from the number of days, which is 27, 28, 29, 30, and also 31. So if we want to calculate part A and part B and add them together, they will be resulting as 5 divided by the 31, which is reading from here, multiplied by the salary, which is 3,000, plus part B, which says that the working days were 26 days. Why are they 26 days? Because since there are 31 days in January, and then minus those 5 days, it will be resulting in 26. Because 31 minus 26 gives us the following. And then if we add them together, as you can see here, we will have this total salary. If we want to consider the pension, the employee pension, and take it into consideration, it will give us the following net amount. Now let's see in February, right here in February, notice that the leave days to be deducted from the balance are 5, since we're saying that 27 to 28, only till 28, we're not going to even reach 30, because it's not fixed 30 days anymore, it's 28 exactly. So only 2 days from February, which are 27 and 28, and the rest will be continued from March. Not May here, it's March. So 27 plus 28 plus 1, 2, and 3 of March. And the leave days to be paid are also 5 days, since it's 27, 28, 1, 2, and 3 of March. So which results in 2 days right here, which are 27 and 28, divided by 28 from here, multiplied by the 3,000 of which is the salary, plus why is this 3 here? Because it's taking 1, 2, and 3 first 3 days of March. If we add this together, it will give us 3,290 in total. And lastly, let's look here at the actual month days of April, when there are 5 days of leave starting from 27. So the leave days to be deducted from the days balance are 5, since they are 27, 28, 29, 30, and the last day is from May. So the leave days to be paid is 5, because 27, 28, 29, 30, 4 days of April, and the last day of May. That's why we put here 4, because 4 days up till 30 are 4 days, and then divided by this 30 multiplied by the salary, plus why did we put 1 here? Because it's 1 day from May. It's what's left from the 5 days of absence. Divided by 31. Because why is it 31 here, not 30? Because it's reading the number of days based on May, not April. Since we're talking about the next month now. Multiplied by 3,000. And then if we're seeing here part B, it says that 26 divided by 30 multiplied by 3,000, which gives us 3,097. When we're talking, by the way, about part B here, why did we put 30 again? Because we're looking at the actual month days of April. So the actual month days of April. That's why it's 30 right here. We will see now a screenshot on the right side, which will further clarify this. So as we can see here in image 4, as we can see here, the calculated days for January as actual month days are 5. And the days to be paid are also 5, as we have seen. And in February, here, as we can see in April, there were 5 days calculated as leave and also 5 days to be paid, since it's April. And also right here, when we go a little bit up, as we saw here, that for February also 5 days to be calculated as leave days and 5 days also to be paid. So in all cases, there were 5 days calculated as leave and 5 days to be paid as well, according to this calculation of actual days of leave. So this is how mainly the calculation of leave works. You can see this for your own benefit. You can go through it, which is another example, another scenario of 10 days of leave. You can go through this and scroll through it, look at the difference, compare between them, and you can ask us in case you have any questions, of course, regarding both fixed 30 days and actual month days. So you can go through that. You can go through case 3 as well. And of course, we are ready here to help you and assist you in case you have any questions in all those. This is the main topic for today. I hope it was clear, easy, simple, and straightforward. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, watch all our other videos, like this video, share it with everyone interested in our ERP system, and stay tuned for our next videos. Thank you.